blessings of the day. Thank you for our Board of Supervisors and our team here and all the hard work that has gone into be where we are for this meeting. Thank you for each individual. Thank you that we have a good team to work with. We pray now that you go with us into this meeting, direct our thoughts, and help each one of us to be what you'd have us to be. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, appreciate that, Ms. Smith. Everybody has looked over the agenda and consent agenda. I look for motion to approve.
So moved.
So
Second.
I have motion to move and second by all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Righty. Moving right along, new business. End of the year, FY20 budget appropriations amendment, transfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna, if we can jump a little bit. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
The first thing that we were going to talk about would be the bills part, right?
No,
Isn't that a correction? Well, it looks like a correction here then. We can stick with this? Okay, you're right, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that. End of year fiscal year 20 budget appropriations amendments and transfers. I'm going to ask Ms. Gayhart to walk you through that. Ms. Gayhart?
As you see, we've got very few little cleanup to do. Only totaled.
Hey, Lisa, are you
Yes.
looking at the closeout FY20? Is that the PDF that we're looking at?
Yes, the one you'll see budget amendments for $175,555.
Hold on.
You see that one?
No.
Closeout budget adjustments.
Yes, page 2. I got it. Okay.
Closeout budget adjustments. That is just cleanup from the year, some overages that needed to be taken care of. All of them were easily explained, nothing too much of a surprise. The Sheriff's Office did have quite a bit of turnover this year that resulted in some pretty hefty payouts, excessive mental health transports that weren't planned for, as well as excessive vehicle maintenance. So that was what the bulk of his overage there. CSA, you'll see, is not really an expenditure overage. It's just a booking. It's an accounting thing. We're still working to try to resolve that to prevent that for future occurrences. And everything else is explained. Unless you have any questions, we'll move over to the transfer request.
This is John. Just can you talk me through this $53K for the CSA? How do you think we can do it better next year?
I'm going to be consulting with our audit team and our consulting firm. In July, August, and September, we're still receiving the prior year's invoices.
Right.
The way those are booked, it's booked on a cash basis, so there's no way to indicate this should have been applied to the prior year. So we'll be working with both DSS, the Treasurer's Office, and I have already had this discussion, and we'll be working with our consulting firm and our auditors to make sure that that we clean this up and it doesn't happen again. The auditors already know where to move it. They don't count it, but I do want a clean budget at the end of the year, so that's why I go ahead and ask for that transfer.
And then one last question. Yeah, okay, I got it. One last question with the sheriff, that $86K. Where did that's an overage beyond what he thought his budget was going to be. Where did it get moved from?
Care of prisoners. So we had that much, actually, we had quite a bit of savings in our jail costs. So it's related to law enforcement, so that's why I chose care of prisoners to move that.
You moved it out of care of prisoners to the transport vehicle maintenance line. Is that, am I tracking that right, or have I got it wrong?
I actually moved it into their salary line to cover those payouts, those excessive payouts.
The salary, okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, moving on to transfers, which would be the next page in your FY20 closeout budget adjustments transfers memo. And this kind of goes along with the next item on the agenda as well. We would like to transfer some of the savings that was not spent during the year into our fund balance for designated purposes. The first line there you see had some overage in economic development that we did not spend. And I would ask that we go ahead and take 2 cents worth of our tax levy, which equals the $333,864, and transfer that into a broadband fund for our broadband expansion program. That plays right into the next item on the agenda, and I ask that you do consider creating a separate fund so that we can track our local investments and all of our grant dollars coming into the county for that particular project. That will make accounting and reporting much easier. The other transfers are all into capital improvement. Again, those were savings out of care of prisoners, transfers, and economic development. I ask that since we did have those funds left over, to transfer those into capital improvement, and that will allow us to continue our time-sensitive capital improvement projects only, and that's a request later on in the agenda.
Okay, any questions, comments on the transfers?
Looks good.
Thank you.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, one question, just so I'm straight. When you talk about economic development, which is that the line? That's not the line related to the Economic Development Authority, correct? That's the line underneath the county administrator.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, got it.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, the fund designation broadband and CARES Act, is that covered that, Lisa?
We have to have a motion to approve all that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't understand your question.
Okay, out of the new business, the fund designation for broadband and CARES Act, was that what you just went over? Broadband?
Yes, a little bit, yes.
But there's more to come?
Nope, that's it. I'll talk more about that if you'd like in the next item, but I didn't want to commingle the two motions there, sorry.
Okay. And the Grayson County School Board closeout appropriation request?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
We need a motion on all the appropriations and transfers that Ms. Gayhart just recommended to you all. We have to have a motion in a second and get that approved.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve. I so move.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that was Tom has a motion and Mike is the second.
Correct.
I'm sorry. I should have said. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called you by your first name. I should have said Supervisor Revels and Supervisor Hash. Sorry.
Just do push-ups, Mitch.
Be all right.
I apologize.
Okay, next, the, Broadband and CARES Act, is anything else on that?
I'll be happy to answer any specific questions. Anytime that the county or the treasurer's office moves money and then specifically designates that pot of money for a designated use, that is required that the board approve that. So that's why I'm asking. It is accounting, but it's to make sure that you understand that we are designating that money for a specific purpose and cannot be used unless for any other purpose unless you as a board so designate.
But, Mr. Chairman, we got a question.
Yes, sir.
So when we create this, when the broadband, for example, will be a line item in the budget or it's a separate spreadsheet? Separate from the budget?
Yes, it will be a separate spreadsheet.
But not a line item in the budget?
No. Now, you can have a line item within the budget to contribute to that fund, but it will stand alone.
Okay, so then the CARES Act, that answers the question because I think you'd explain the CARES Act monies associated with that can't be in the budget. Is that correct?
It cannot be used. We could have just created a special line for that. However, that would commingle the monies and make it reporting a little bit more difficult. So this is just to assist finance and the treasurer's office in keeping those funds separate.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Okay, next, the Grayson County School Board closeout appropriation request.
Mr. Chairman, we'll need a motion to approve that, the creation of those two funds.
On the Broadband and CARES Act, okay.
Yes, please.
Look for motion to approve.
So moved. This is Fant, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was Mr. Hayes.
Aye.
Okay,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Who was Supervisor Revels the motion?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next is the school board closeout appropriation request.
This is just an appropriation. It does not affect local funds at all. This is close out federal, state, and other funds that they need appropriated just to close out their fiscal.
Okay, do you have any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, I look for motion to approve.
So moved.
Fant, second.
I think Ms. Sutherland made the motion, who seconded?
Fant.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so moved. Next, approve the budget for FY 2021 by resolution.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could read the resolution. A resolution adopting the budget for the County of Grayson, Virginia for the fiscal year of July 1st, 2020 through June 20th, 2021, appropriating funds for all contemplated expenses of the county for the fiscal year and placing levies upon all real estate, personal property, machinery and tools, merchants' capital, and all other levies and fees as previously imposed or modified by the board. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 25 of Title 15.2 of the Code of Virginia, the Grayson County Board of Supervisors has prepared a budget for this county, setting forth the contemplated expenditures in the aggregate amount to be appropriated for the current year. And whereas notice and publication and synopsis to the same were published in the newspaper of general circulation in Grayson County, Virginia, and at least one public hearing was held at least 7 days prior to the approval of the budget, as provided by Section 15.2-2506 of the Code of Virginia. And now therefore be it resolved and enacted by the board after due notice, public hearing, and mature consideration of the said budget, that the attached budget be and is hereby adopted as the budget of the County of Grayson for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and ending June 30th, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved, further resolved and enacted, that there is hereby levied a tax of 58 cents on each $100 of assessed value of real estate and improvement situated thereon in the county, and a tax of $2.25 per $100 on assessed value of tangible personal property, and a fee of $25 per vehicle assessed by the county and segregated pursuant to Title 15.2, Chapter 25 of the Code of Virginia, and amendments thereto, including tangible personal property of public utilities located and doing business within the county, and upon all other properties subject to taxation by the county, and herein otherwise provided for, a tax of $1.75 per $100 of assessed value on machinery and tools, and $6.70 per $100 of assessed value on merchants' capital. Now therefore be it resolved, further resolved and enacted by the board that all other assessments, taxes, and fees previously imposed by the county, unless repealed, are again levied, assessed, and imposed as set forth previously by the board, and shall remain in full force and effect until changed by the board. This resolution of the board shall be effective July 1st, 2020, adopted the 25th day of June, 2020, in the county of Grayson, Virginia.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shipley. As far as resolution, I look for a roll call vote. Do I hear a motion to approve?
This is Vance, so moved.
Second, Rebels. Motion and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
We'll do the roll
Vance,
call.
aye.
Okay, we'll do a roll call since it's a resolution. Ms. Rebels. Aye. Mr. Hodge.
Aye.
Mr. Pat.
Aye.
Mr. Sutherland.
Aye.
And also aye. So, motion approved, approve the budget. I now have the budget amendment, CARES Act capital improvement request for public hearing.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have it's necessary, and Ms. Gayhart can give us more details on this, but because of money that's come into the county from the Federal CARES Act and some capital improvement activity that we need to do, we have I'd like to read to you a statement from Ms. Gayhart that she sent to me that I'd like to share with the board to explain to you what we're asking you to support. Correct, Ms. Gayhart?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Subject is fiscal year 21 budget adjustment, CARES Act, and capital improvement. And this, again, remember, this is from Ms. Gayhart to me. As you are aware, Congress passed and the President signed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act of 2020, better known as the CARES Act. This act provides funding for a number of different programs to address the COVID-19 pandemic. A primary component of the CARES Act is assistance to local governments for the direct impact of the COVID-19 pandemic through the establishment of the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Grayson County has been allocated $1,356,678 based on our population, including the populations of the towns within the borders of the county. These funds should be considered one-time monies and should not be used for ongoing services and/or base operations. However, the use of these funds will significantly change the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget as previously advertised and approved. Therefore, we are requesting the Grayson County Board of Supervisors hold a public hearing to amend the fiscal year 21 budget to include the CARES funding. Additionally, due to the uncertainty of the current economic climate, no funds were budgeted for capital improvement projects in the upcoming fiscal year. Due to the efforts of all county departments, there was enough surplus from fiscal year 2019-2020 to fund the time-sensitive capital projects into the fiscal year 21 year. We are requesting the fiscal year 21 budget be amended to include $500,000 for capital projects as determined previously as time-sensitive. One public hearing could address both of these requested amendments. Thank you for your consideration and for sharing this with the Board of Supervisors. And Ms. Gayhart, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, other than this, in my tenure here, we've never had to hold a public hearing for a budget adjustment. Normally, you're not required to do that unless your total budget amount changes plus or minus 1% of your budget. And then very obviously, 1.3 million is more than 1% of our budget. So that's the reality of why we need to do this. And again, this goes along with the transfer that we asked for a little earlier. We weren't prepared and didn't think we were going to have the funds to be able to do those capital improvement projects, to continue those. We are now, and that's therefore I'd like to amend the budget, even though we just adopted it, amend the budget to include those capital improvement projects.
Okay, so you're asking for a motion to hold a public hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any comments or questions before we?
Hey, this is Stan. Obviously, I have one. I don't recall spending a whole lot of time on the CIP during our budget work sessions. And so we're moving this $500K. I realize it's got several years in there, but would it be appropriate to have a discussion about the CIP and what we're on it? And can we move the money into the CIP now, which is what you're asking us to do, and then go back and have a discussion about the CIP and whether or not those projects that are on there are what we really want to do right now? Does that make sense, what I'm asking? So
it does.
Yeah.
And the very limited conversations that we did have did concern the time-sensitive ones that are grant-connected, such as the Gate Center, and I can name them on one hand. Finishing the Gate Center, which is has a deadline, the completion of the Industrial Park project, which has a deadline as well as the Baywood School, which is attached to grant dollars, as well as the timeline as well. So those are the three projects.
Trail project, too.
As well. Mr. Smith just reminded me of the trail project. So those are the only projects that we have slated to continue under the current climate.
Okay, and this $500K would fully fund all those?
For the next fiscal year, yes. The $500K combined with the reimbursements that we receive with grant dollars.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm good. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Okay, I'll look for a motion to request a public hearing for the CARES Act. That's approved.
Ms. Vance, so moved. Mr. Hash, second.
Okay, motion second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right. The public hearing advertised 6:30 at 6:01. The information that we have on the CARES Act update, has that done been took care of?
There's actually some information I'd like to share if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to share is that I wanted to prepare the board for a major presentation that will occur in the next board meeting on July the 9th. And in that board meeting, we will be presenting to you 3 components of the CARES Act in detail. And what I mean by that is there is a committee of citizens in the county, along with staff from the county, that have come together and formed the Grayson County Small Business Recovery Committee. And we have been working diligently to try to make sure that we have a full understanding of how CARES Act money can be utilized to assist our small businesses in Grayson County. It's extremely complex. I've asked Ms. Gayhart to lead our effort on understanding the rules and regulations regarding reimbursement. We have brought an outstanding resource to the county, Deb Jones, who is our grant consultant, helping us to figure these things out. She's been contacting other counties and interacting with us. It's almost a full-time job for her to be able to do what she's doing in order to get us up to snuff as quickly as we possibly can. We've been participating in regular sessions with Virginia Tech, who's pulled together most of the major leadership in counties and municipalities here in the region to help us answer the questions that are not clearly answered through the CARES Act, that we had to go back and say, we need clarification on this or we need clarification on that. What we are prepared to do on July the 9th is to have the Grayson County Small Business Recovery Committee come in to do a presentation to the board about our recommendation regarding what we would like to do for the small businesses in Grayson County. It'll be very detailed. It'll explain the monetary recommendations. It will have the application process, the kinds of the data that those that could be eligible need to keep up with in case they're audited down the road. And myself and the other members of the Grayson County Small Business Recovery Committee will be presenting to the board and giving you all that information at that time. In addition, after that presentation, Ms. Gayhart and I will be talking to you a little bit about the eligibility of not-for-profit entities to be able to access CARES Act money. And then the third part that she and I will be discussing with you will be our recommendations to you regarding hazard pay for those individuals that have been placed in precarious positions through the work that they do, given the challenges of the COVID-19 virus. So I wanted to give you a heads up that is coming on July the 9th. We're very excited about having reached that point where we can make these recommendations to you. And I also wanted to point out an article that really hit home about what one of our most important local businesses is doing to try to help the nation really during this crisis, and that is, I think Skyline National Bank needs to be recognized. Skyline National Bank has about $700 million in total assets, but it has approved $78 million throughout the Paycheck Protection Program on a national basis. So that is they are one of the leading contributors to the Paycheck Protection Program and supporting the whole effort to try to keep small businesses and all businesses alive. They have been cited as one of the leaders in the country for the extra effort they've gone to try to help our businesses stay in business, especially the small businesses. So I just wanted to take this time and recognize them for doing that. And I want to give, if I could, Mr. Chairman, just give a quick update on the COVID-19 situation. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir. I'll be fine.
Okay. Just briefly, remember. Yes, sir.
Before you leave that, could we do a proclamation for Skyline? Is that what you're suggesting?
It was information, but I think that's a great idea.
I mean, there may be other ones, but it sounds to me if they're doing that kind of significant economic contribution above what they normally do, I think it's in line with, what we've done proclamations for in the past, if it's the pleasure of the board.
I think that sounds great. We'd be glad to put that together and bring it to the July 9th meeting, if the board supports that.
Absolutely.
I think you have consensus of the board.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So when it comes to the coronavirus itself, it's important when the public when the board and our people are looking at the statistics for our county and for the surrounding area, that we realize that the Virginia Department of Health, who's done a great job through this, is reporting the total number of cases that have occurred in a county or a municipality. So that number never goes down. That is the total number of people that have been tested and found to have the coronavirus in that particular area. So if you go on the VDH website and you hover over the Grayson County, you'll see a number that increases every couple days. The reality of the situation is many of those people have recovered. Probably half of those people have recovered. So we do not have 70 active cases of the coronavirus. We have right now 36 active cases of the coronavirus, and we have stabilized, but we've stabilized at a pretty high number for a county of our size, although we're doing much better than, unfortunately, than our neighbors in Galax and Carroll County. So we don't need to relax our safety measures that we're taking right now, but we also don't need to be reading those statistics and thinking, wow, the number is going up every single day. It's actually not going up every single day, and a few days ago it dropped over a 4-day period by 7 active cases. It sort of fluctuates. I used to say it was fluctuating between 25 and 35. It's sort of fluctuating between 35 and 45. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's pretty much stabilizing. It probably will stay at a number such as that until a vaccine is found. It's not going to just go away. It's going to probably stay in that area. We just need to continue to practice all the safety measures that have been recommended to us, and we need to remember that one time that you say, I'm just not going to put the mask on, could be the one time that you get the exposure. So please continue to do your social distancing and to wear your mask when you go into public places, and follow the rules that are in place for social gatherings, and stay safe. And we'll get through this thing. We're in much better shape than most of the counties in the United States. Thank goodness. We want to stay that way, but it's because people are hopefully are listening to the recommendations and putting them in place. Although we frequently see in our public gathering places, and particularly in the grocery stores, that people are not wearing masks. I would just encourage you to please wear a mask. Do it more for the protection of your neighbors than for yourself. So stick with the safety measures right now, and let's keep each other safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Shepley. It is now 6:11. Can we go ahead and open this public hearing, or we need to wait 6:30? Have we got people that signed up or anything to speak?
I think
we have to wait till 6:30, Mr. Chairman.
6:30 or shortly thereafter, sometimes when we go over, I think it's the way our bylaws read, or our rules of procedure, excuse me.
Okay.
Can we do, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Chairman, can we do executive session and get it done before 6:30?
Would you be open to that suggestion, Mr. Chairman, that we go into the executive session and then come back out of that and then go into the public hearing, so we don't have the members of the board just waiting?
Yes, as Paul can get that to work out.
Can you make that happen, Mr. Caudell?
Bill, if we have to, we could go back, come back out, do the public hearing, and go back into the executive session if need be.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. So, Mr.
Carl never
Caudell,
Are you on there, Carl? Let us get in contact with Carl here real quickly.
okay.
Excuse me.
All right, Mr. Chair, the stream is back live.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cole. We'd like a minute, so I guess we can, I'll look for a motion to go into open public hearing to receive public comment on proposed secondary six-year plan, fiscal year 2020-21 through 25-26 in Grayson County on secondary system construction budget for fiscal year 2020 and 21.
So move, Mr. Hash. Second, Grant.
Mr. Hash made motion and Mr. Vance seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hey, we like just a minute.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go see if Mr. Fowler from VDOT is here to give address.
Okay. Let me know. It's 6:30.
Yeah. You sure? I mean, I'll stay for more support if you'd like. Deal. We've got 3 people signed up.
That thing's on. Okay.
We have 3 people signed up for the VDOT hearing.
Andy is gonna do a presentation and talk. And I'm going to bring these 3 people in and spread them out with a mask. I mean, they all have a mask, so that they can hear what Andy has to present, okay?
So for the benefit of the board members, we have 3 people that we have Andy what is, Andy?
Fowler.
What is, Andy
Fowler.
Fowler. It's hard to understand each other through our masks here. Is going to come in and do from VDOT is going to do a presentation for us. While he does that, the 3 members of the public that have asked to speak are going to be brought into the room. We will be completely in compliance with the COVID-19 rules because we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the room, and we will be spread out distances of more than 12 feet from each other. So we're making that happen right now as we're bringing the people in. It may take just a couple of minutes, but we appreciate your patience. Okay, Daly. Yes. So we're going to turn it over to Andy Fowler from the Virginia Department of Transportation. And Andy, you've got the members of the board on the line here, and anyone from the public that is dialed in. So we're going to turn it over to you, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
That's good for me. Welcome, Mr. Fowler.
Oh, wait a second, I think.
Oh, we're bringing in the members of the public?
Yeah, there's 3.
Hey, folks. Good to see people again. How are y'all doing?
You have the chairs up there.
Huh?
You empty chairs.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Okay.
They're on the phone.
So we're going to have Andy Fowler from Virginia Department of Transportation is going to be speaking now.
Yes, so what I'd like to do first, if all the board members can look in their OneDrive that Linda has sent, there is the updated Grayson County secondary 6-year plan. You'll find that file. Each of the board members can open that file up. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a brief rundown. I'm going to read the current projects that are on the 6-year plan. I'm going to read through those in the order that they're listed, just so the public will know what projects are currently on the plan and in the order they're on. And if everybody is ready, and tell us if board members are ready.
Are you ready, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. We're ready.
Okay. Can you all hear Andy okay?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, starting with the first road that's currently on the plan. And some of these are already underway or actually on this plan completed, but I'm going to read the entire plan first. Spring Valley Road, that was a 1-mile addition, or 1-mile section that we improved last year.
What page number are you on, Mr. Fowler?
This is you have the cover page, and so it's page 1 of 4, which is the second page. So you'll see Spring Valley Road first. We did complete that. That's Route 805. That's a 1-mile section. then we improved the pavement and the ditching and shoulder work. Crestwood Drive, Church View Drive, both of those are underway and fully funded and will be completed this year. Petty Road is also fully funded and under construction. Spencer's Branch Road is fully funded, and they're starting that project this year as well. Wallens Creek Road, Little River Road, Grinders Mill Road, River Bend Road, on page 3 of 4 now.
Now, just one interruption here.
Yes.
Grinders Mill and River, now we've gone into 2021.
Yes, and I'm just reading every project in the order there.
Okay, but the others were funded through this year.
Yes.
Now we're into next year, July 2021.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And 22.
Hey, Mitch, this is Grant. Mr. Fowler, before you move on out of this year, so you said Churchview is underway. I live near there. I haven't seen much activity on that one specifically. Do you think? I know it's funded, and I know the pandemic and other issues may have put you all behind, but do you have a rough estimate of when that project, for example, will start?
Yeah, and actually what has happened over the last, I guess, a little over a month, all these continuous flooding events we're having, the crews, our in-house VDOT crews have been doing basically full-on flood repair. It's actually affected our mowing. It's affected our mowing schedule as well. I know you noticed as you ride through the roads, we have high grass that normally by this time of year has already been cut. But this continuous and relentless flooding has just basically hijacked our operation. But with that said, Churchview Road is still, and we still anticipate building that road this year. We're just getting a late start. So that we should start seeing, especially if the weather gives us a break over the next, hopefully soon, we will start seeing more activity on the boulevard.
So any of these roads that haven't started that are under this year's fiscal plan will still get built, even though it may not start until the next FY, simply because of natural, impediments.
Yes, and those roads that are on this year's plan that we had scheduled to start by now, we're still planning on starting. So we're going to see activity on roads this year.
Okay, good. Thanks.
And so now I'm at the top of page. Okay, any more questions on this year's funded? Let's go to page 3 of 4. This is starting into 2022. Justice Road, Grand Oaks Road. Sorry, I left my reading glasses. Spotswood Lane, Stones Chapel Road, and Riston Road. Now on the top of page 4 of 4, this is starting into routes funded in 2023. Kents River, Logat, Beach Grove, Pleasant Grove, and Beagle Lane. Actually, Beagle Lane, Pleasant Grove, and Beach Grove are all in 2024. And with that said, you'll see it, the last section there on page 4 is highlighted in yellow. That indicates, you'll see in red over to the right, the available funds for new projects. add both of those columns together, and the total is $654,389 of available funds to add projects to the year plan. This, basically we build these roads through the Rural Rustic program, which means we build within the existing roadway. We review these routes and determine if there's enough width for shoulder and drainage, and we build these roads Rural Rustic within in-house labor and machine equipment. So we do that with VDOT forces, so it allows us to build these roads at a much cheaper cost in comparison to using contractors. So with that said, we estimate our roads at $220,000 per mile building with Rural Rustic standards. So with that said, this available funding to add roads at $654,389, we can build 3 miles of road. Or we can, yes, and so this under this proposed funding, we can add 3 miles of road to the 2025, 2026 portion of the 6-year plan. And I had recommendations that were sent through Mitch from the board members. One of the routes that was recommended was Cold Springs Lane, Route 632. That route is 1.7 miles long. It has an average daily traffic count of 182. And that's another thing I wanted to mention on the Rural Rustic concept. The route has to have at least 50 vehicles per day to qualify. And this one meets that criteria. I sent my maintenance manager out to review the route and measure, make sure we could build within the Rural Rustic criteria, and this one does comply. It can be built Rural Rustic at 1.7 miles at $220 per mile. This one would cost $374,000, and so it does qualify. It can be added if the board so chooses. The other route.
How much did you say it cost? $374,000. Thank you.
The other route that came recommended from the board was Grouse Hollow Road, Route 615. This route is a through route with connections on both ends, and it is 1 mile long, so that this route would cost estimated $220,000. That is a total.
And it qualifies.
Yes, it qualifies. So we can do Grouse Hollow and Cold Springs Lane can be added to the plan. That leaves 60. I don't have my calculator handy.
Roughly.
Which would give us another 1/4 of a mile that we could add. And if you'll look in your OneDrive, there's another document that I sent Linda, and she uploaded to you guys. It is the Rural Rustic recommended list. And I just went ahead, just for the benefit of the public and the board, had each of my area headquarters that serve Grayson County to provide me with a list of routes that also qualify, so that we could I just wanted to bring these out as options that could where we can spend that extra $60,000. So does the board have the Rural Rustic list, recommendation list?
Check.
And Andy, you say there's enough money left for how much road?
1/4 of a mile.
1/4.
We can do up to 310.
310, yeah.
So I have a few roads here. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think last year we had several citizens come and talk about Cornerstone Road, I believe. Now, it's on the list, but it's 1.3 miles. But it sounded like it was, I think it ties into Pleasant Grove Road. So as we look to make improvements on Pleasant Grove in the year 2024, then it may make sense to start chipping away at that road as well. But it's 1.3 is the total length that's on the list as qualified, and we've only got 0.3 of that to do. But I do recall that from last year's public hearing.
701.
Under Baywood.
Route 701.
Check.
Third one's in the bottom.
Okay, Cornerstone Road is. That's 1.3. Let me check to see if that's been reviewed. Should have been. Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm going to present these, but I mean, the two that the board had recommended. I mean, obviously, any of these other roads that the board so decides if they want to switch it out, we can look at them and see if if you want to go that route. I'm open to whatever the board, based on the public's input, wants to add. So, Cornerstone 1.3.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, did your roads get? I know I sent them. Was this one of them?
Yeah, Grouse Hollow and Cold Springs was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a peer review. But
Yeah.
now this can be done.
Okay, and then Supervisor Revels sent in priority 1, priority 2s, I think, on his list from Mouth of Wilson.
Yeah, those are already on the plan.
Already on the plan. Did you hear that, Supervisor Revels?
That's good news.
Okay.
Yeah, and just remind me, so I don't have to look that email up. What were the two routes that you recommended, Supervisor Revels? What were the two routes?
He just did a priority 1 and a priority 2, but the roads that he sent in sound like it's already on the plan.
I think one of them was Spencer's Branch. Is that right?
That was priority 1.
Yeah, that one's on the plan, and the other one was Low Gap. And I'm pretty sure that was on the plan. I'll look real quick. But when I saw that email, I went back and reviewed, and I found that both of those are on the plan. Low Gap is scheduled for 2023, so it's on the plan. So you're already 3 years game on that one. And then Spencer's Branch is it's funded this year, so there'll be activity on that road this year.
Good. Mr. Fowler, so in the case of the Cornerstone Road, it's longer than what we have money for this year. Is it possible to do the 0.3 of that 1.3 with the remaining money, for example, and then relook at next year for the last mile? Is that something that VDOT would entertain?
Yes, a lot of times what we look at is, like, let's say that first 0.3 miles from the intersection, that's from 761. Okay, so from the intersection of Route 761, let's say that first 3 miles catches numerous homes, 6, 7 houses, and it's a real benefit to go ahead and do that first 0.3. Then obviously VDOT board as well. Do you know if the first 0.3, what the benefit of that would be? I mean, would it catch quite a few homes, or?
I personally do not. One of the other supervisors may know. I just recall there were several folks from the from that road that were at the public hearing last year. And it sounded like a good candidate based on their input and based on the supervisors from VDOT's analysis. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
I remember that too, Mr. Fant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely want to hear what the folks that are in the room, but I would throw it out there as a possibility of starting that with the remainder money that we have, and then we can adjust it based on what the public hearing tells us.
And so basically, like, as far as VDOT is concerned, where's the board? So basically, whatever you guys, I present the roads to you, whatever you vote on based on your constituency's needs, then VDOT, we're here to support you guys. So that said, obviously we could do the first 0.3 if it makes good sense for the citizens of that road. Or we could do the full 1.3 if that road is more popular candidate to the board.
No, I'm not suggesting the bumping the ones that the other supervisors have said. My thought was to do the 0.3 because it matches with the amount of money we have, and then we can relook the rest of the road the next year or so as we go forward. That's my thought process.
All right, is that and with the 1 point or the 0.3 that I mentioned, you know, like it serves quite a few homes and it makes good sense to go ahead and do that 0.3. I can have someone or personally tomorrow go look that route, see if it makes good sense to do that, present that back to you guys. I mean, if the first 0.3 basically does not catch anyhow, it'd be my recommendation that I would put it somewhere else where we can actually, like, I'm just going to
Yeah, that makes sense.
Top of the
I
list.
understand. That makes sense.
Yeah. Would you want me to do that? Review it to see if it makes good sense
Well,
to do that?
this is fan. I like that recommendation, but I'd like to hear from the other board members.
Could we maybe do that contingent upon there might be something that the ones that are there to speak to that may have a more pressing issue?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We need to hear their input. I was just catching up from last year's public hearing and the plea that we heard from the residents last year as a way to maybe begin answering their concerns. That's all. But I definitely want to hear from the other folks in the room.
Okay, and at this point then, before I even recommend anything, let's hear
That sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Okay, so I'll let you conduct it.
So, Mr. Chairman, we got folks in the room that would like to speak. Mr. Smith has the list. If you would.
Already asked.
Okay. If it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, we'll go ahead and have the first speaker come up.
Okay, and that would be Ed. Often. Okay, often. And address 412 Ford Street, Yadkinville, North Carolina, 2755.
Yeah, that's my mailing address.
That's his mailing address, but yes, he is a county resident.
I don't need you to be roads in North Carolina.
Is that, I wonder if that,
Yes, it's on.
would you mind coming up to that speaker? Thank you, sir.
So my name is Ed Alping. I want to thank you for hearing me out. I'm learning a lot already just listening to you. I didn't have any idea that cost that much a mile to put a road in. But anyway, I live on Riverwood Lane off of 94, going up towards Freeze. And there's two roads there, Apple Lane off of 94 and Riverwood Lane off of Apple Lane at the top of the hill. We've got 20 homes out there and families, and we'd like to have the road that we live on as a private road taken over by the county or the state, and brought up the standards. Right now, we have about a half a mile of road from Apple 94 to the end of Apple Lane, and about 3/10 of a mile off Apple Lane, Riverwood comes off in that and goes for about a mile down the ridge. And the main part we'd really like the state to take over is Apple Lane, because that's where most of our work and money winds up being put into. It's a pretty steep hill and hard to maintain. Right now, it's costing all of us about several $1,000s a year just to maintain the gravel on it, have it smoothed out and so forth. Let's see. We have a number of problems. Is the reason we need your help. One of them is that the cost of maintaining the road for the residents. We've got a mixed bag of retirees like myself, and young families, and middle-aged people that are going in and out and working and everything. So some of them can contribute some, and some can't contribute anything. So it's kind of hard to get the monies, the funds to keep the road in passable shape. One of the complaints of the families that have children is they have to take their children all the way down to 94 for the school bus. The school bus won't come up our hill to these roads. Same thing with our mailboxes. That's why my mailing address is in Yankton Hill. We've had trouble with people having things taken out of their mailbox. They're all lined up on 94 right here. And we've got another problem with the dumpster that the county provides. We pay extra on our property tax to have that dumpster there. But we'd like it put up at the top of the hill where all the other residents in the general area there wouldn't come in and try to put their stuff. We're actually having a real problem with people coming in and throwing trash, even though we put up signs and so forth. Down there on 94, it sits right off the side of the road of 94, and people just see it and think, well, I'll just stop there and throw my trash in there. And they're putting furniture in there and old tires and stuff like that. When they won't fit in the dumpster, they just throw them next to the dumpster, and we're having to pay to have them removed. So we'd like to put it up top of hill up by the corner of Riverwood and Apple Lane. But again, we can't do that until we have a state maintained road, because the trash people won't come up. Let's see.
I will mention real quick,
Yeah.
the secondary 6-year plan.
Yeah.
It is designed for roads that are already in the system.
Yeah.
And so, like, to bring a road into the system, there's other avenues that has to happen, like the revenue sharing. Bring roads in that way.
Okay.
With revenue sharing, basically the state will put up half the money, and then the county would add tax. I think they spread it out like over a 10-year period. They increase the taxes to the citizens on that route, and then VDOT will enter into an agreement, revenue sharing agreement with the citizens, where VDOT will approve the road. And then the other option, VDOT will take a road into the system if the citizens approve the road and bring it up to VDOT standards to meet drainage requirements. And there's other safety criteria, safety requirements that must be met for VDOT to take the road into the system. So that's
How would I get this moving in that direction to get VDOT to help or what you're talking about? How would I even go about that?
Yeah.
From this point, this private road right now, we want the state to maintain it, or whoever.
Yeah, what I would like to do is get the contact information.
Okay.
And that way I can provide you with the actual detailed literature, exactly, rather than try to explain it.
Sure. Yeah. I need it written down anyway. My memory isn't.
Yeah.
So
Our speakers are only supposed to be up for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and this will take a while to go into
Yeah.
all the different types of revenue sharing. There's other types of mechanisms that will allow citizens to bring a revenue to the system, but it would take a while. So let me get what was your name again?
Ed address.
Email.
No.
Okay. And what's your phone number?
Up here, it's, well, I'll give you the acting phone number too. It's 336-679-2325. And up here it is 276-744-0239.
All right, so,
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate any consideration you can give us.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, our next speaker is, one that, I'm not sure we know, Roger Billings, River Hill Lane.
All right.
Are all the supervisors here?
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything they won't hear. I just hope they can hear, because one of the reasons for being here tonight is spoke with Andy out front, just come back about a year on May the 19th of last year. The section on Pleasant Grove Road, State Route 715. I was listening to you a second ago, Andy. I don't know when it was put into the 6-year program last year, May. I never did. I figured it was at the end of the list. I don't know what year that would be in. But I thought I heard a minute ago said Pleasant Grove Road was in 2024 now.
Yes.
Yes, it becomes fully funded July 20.
That means it probably get some work started sometime during the calendar year.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. First, one reason I wanted to come was to thank the Board of Supervisors. All of you are sitting out there here. Y'all looked at my ugly face and missing a chance to see it with a mask on tonight, so you won't have to look at it as much. Bad for Bill and Mitch. Those guys are inches for y'all. I want to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors, Bill, Mitch, Linda, all the staff of the administration office, for listening to and helping me work through to get to the point, to get that thing entered in last year. And this is very good news to hear that supposedly it would have been when moved up to July of 2024 now, and probably.
Yeah, and I'll have to.
2026 is probably on the tail end of the list on 6-year road.
Yeah, with that said, I'll have to give kudos to my area headquarters. My guys, they've just been very efficient building these roads. I know I'm taking up his time, so I'll be busy. But they're actually working faster than the 6-year plan.
But I take this back to some of the people, all the residents down there have been here, as they well know, supporting this, done everything. And citizenry and taxpayer will be happy to hear that we're now looking at possibly July of 2024. Thank everyone for that. But did want to thank all the supervisors, administration staff and everything, and find out that it hadn't dropped off the wagon. I see now that obviously it hasn't dropped off its wagon. It was actually moved up closer to the driver's seat, so if it fell off, somebody would see it. But, so basically, all I'm here to do is take this message back to the people that's looking for it. I'm not afraid of that. I can say it again, thank you to all the supervisors and the staff for the work they've done so far.
And thank you, sir. We appreciate your you sticking to it and having some patience with us. And
well, I mean, old saying goes, the greasy wheel gets the grease. So I just come with a big grease brush each month or so, and we got there.
All right, good.
But I have to say also, I got you right quick, Bill, when I walked in. Mitch, and I had a few minutes after I heard your voice before I knew who said that.
Okay. This mask disguises. Mr. Chairman, the next and last speaker is David Rutherford, and he's 1130 Little River Road, Galax, Virginia.
Thank you. Glad to be here again. I know y'all get tired of seeing me. Some of you won't have to tonight. First, I've got a question. I know you said Little River Road, but just making sure what section. I think it's from the end of Old Baywood Road towards New River. I'm not sure.
Route 628. 128 miles west of Route 626.
I think I'm on 626. I'm up next to the North Carolina line. Cold Springs Lane is actually closer to my house. There's a little short piece of road, Allegheny Road. It joins Little River Road into North Carolina, up there at the state line. It's like a couple of 100 feet. And I've been asking, for 5 or 6 years now, and this is the same thing that I'm asking. It's from the North Carolina state line, however far we can go down Little River Road, going towards what they're paving. But if they're paving Cold Springs, that's close to my house. But it's funny how the road is set up. But when you come by my house, going down that way to the high water bridge is what we call it, low water bridge and high water bridge. The road is washing out bad. I mean, there's places, no kidding, it's knee deep in the ditches. They put big rocks in it. Every time they fill it up, it just washes back out. So the road is getting smaller and smaller. That road gets narrow in places, and I know the rural rustics may not apply to all of it. But something really needs to be done. My brother-in-law, he owns a logging company, and he drives logging trucks up through this little dirt road. Nothing against him, but it's just, there's not enough room in the road, especially with it washing out and getting smaller. And if it was as wide as it should be without the ditch being washed out, it may qualify for it. I'm not sure.
So which of those roads, which road are you blaming?
That's what I was getting ready to
Like
ask.
I say,
The road from North Carolina state line, what's the name of the road you're
it's
describing?
Allegheny Road for about maybe 200 feet or so. And then it just runs right into Little River Road. There's no stop sign or anything. Little River Road actually starts at, I won't even say it's the end of Cold Springs. Cold Springs comes up and turns into a dead end road. And you're in the middle of the road, and all of a sudden you're on Little River Road. I mean, there's no stop sign. I don't know why it was designed the road the way it was. In my opinion, Cold Springs Lane should have been that one little road. Little River Road should have started where Cold Springs Lane does and go all the way around. I mean, it starts right in the middle of the road. I don't understand why they did. But then you got that little, it's like a loop where you come up, come around, and then there's that little Allegheny Road is what they call it, because it goes into Allegheny County. Little stretch, a couple 100 feet. But, I've been asking to start at North Carolina line because there's a lot of traffic comes through there, and then they either go down towards Cold Springs Lane or they come by my house. And that's Little River Road. Either way you go.
You're asking for a couple of 100 feet to be something done with?
Well, that's a separate road. I'm asking for the Little River Road, but, that couple 100 feet, that's still going to be a dirt road if you come around. And a lot of traffic goes into North Carolina. It's hard to explain without, I should have, take a picture of the map or something. But a lot of the traffic comes in and out from North Carolina, the line. And they have to use that little piece of road, Allegheny Road. So if you just do the Little River Road, you're leaving that one little strip. It don't even show up on there's a sign out there and it says Allegheny Road, but if you look on the map, it don't even show it. It's being Allegheny Road.
It's a brown sign or green?
Green.
It's not showing up on the face.
No, it don't show up. You can look at it on the Google Maps or whatever, and it don't even show Allegheny Road.
It could possibly be a private drive. Do you know if it's in North Carolina or?
No, it's Virginia. I mean, it's like I say, it's basically like the other, like the way Cold Springs Lane and Little River meet. This Allegheny Road just runs right into Little River Road, which goes around it, and there's no stop sign, never has been. And they had to name something, I guess. So I don't know how you include that if you just call it Little River when you're.
Mr. Fowler, for the sake of time, is this something that one of your area headquarters supervisors could go out and, maybe talk with, Mr. Rutherford and see what he's describing, and if it is state road and what can be done?
Yeah, I'll have to do some research and see if I can find Allegheny Road, and I'll talk to my area supervisor in that area, and see if he's familiar with what you're talking about, and see how that road network works over there.
It's crazy how it works. It's hard to explain, but I've always, just said Little River Road. But then I get to thinking, well, if you actually get there and you see the sign that says Allegheny Road, well, Little River Road just goes this way.
Yeah, because
we all think of River Road.
Because Little River Road is on the picture plan.
But it starts from Old Baywood Road where it ends there at the High Water Bridge and goes the opposite way instead of coming toward mine. That's what I was told. That's 2 miles from my house. And it's going the opposite direction. And I would like for it to come up my way from there, from that High Water Bridge up and all the way to North Carolina, straight into that. And if you turn around, you go back down to Cold Springs Lane. Eventually, I guess, connect that way. The hardest, like I say, my brother-in-law, logging trucks, they got tractors coming up and down that road that, as far as me, and my house is right there, close to either way, but the majority of the dangerous traffic, I guess you could say, is that way. Going down toward Cold Springs Lane, it's cars and mainly that. When you get a tractor, occasionally. And it's not washed out down that way. Going past my house that way, the ditch for half a mile or more stretch off. It's just washing that way. I'm sorry to take up all these.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
And what I'd like to do for the board's benefit is, there's a lot of roads in Grayson County named Little River Road.
Okay.
I've seen 3 or 4 or 5 while he was talking, different sections, different route numbers for Little River Road. So if I could get your contact information too, then basically I need to come out and see where you're at, which section of Little River you're on.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fowler, this is Kenneth Belton. One of the reasons I turned in the left side of the low water bridge is to get closer to Mr. Rutherford. He is really right on the middle. Cold Springs Lane will turn into Little River, and like I said, he'll make a big long circle and come right out to the high water bridge. Cold Springs Lane got a lot of people that live through there, so let's just get closer and closer to Mr. Rutherford. But actually, he is almost right in the middle of the Little River and Cold Springs. So actually, we're building closer to him, but I know it's frustrating to get closer to get there, but it's a start.
Well, I guess at this, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. I just checking to see if that was everybody that had come tonight.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Belton or Mr. Fowler, this is John Fant. Do we have a sense, based on what's already going to be done on the plan for Little River Road and the other road that you mentioned, Ken, how much of Little River will be left? you know, where Mr. Rutherford lives, that middle section, how far are we from, you know, connecting him for getting the pavement there based on the roads around him? It sounds like that are being done. Do we know?
I would guess to be from Cold Springs, we're still talking probably a mile and a half. From Little Riverside, it's probably close to a mile to get to the Allegheny Road.
So it's still quite a bit of road to do before we get to him.
It is, and he is right. That is a narrow dirt road with quite a bit of traffic coming from Carolina. And that's a shortcut through there to get to Independence or Galax. Yeah, there's quite a bit of mileage on that road.
What I'll do as far as that, getting the information from Jim. I'm going to contact the citizen, and we're going to meet with him on the road there, and so I can get I can't really answer the question now, because I'm not sure exactly how everything's laid out in that area, but we'll meet with the citizen and nail down what his request is. So we'll have to do that in the field. I know that's not going to help for this year's 6-year plan, but it'll move us forward next year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, what we've heard tonight, if you take the 1/3, the 0.3 for Cornerstone, that leaves you a mile of Cornerstone remaining, and then what's left to do of Little River, you've got about 2 miles, it sounds like 2.5 for next year's plan, just based on tonight's discussion. And Mr. Rutherford's been in front of the board at least 3 times since I've been on the board. So, you know, there's next potentially anyway, 2 miles from next year's plan already.
Okay. And what will actually help us too is the current section of Little River that's on the plan. Mr. Rutherford, we're going to find out how far this section, how close this section gets to. And then that way we'll be able to determine what's left.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that Little River that's in for this year, it's going west, and Mr. Rutherford lives east. So it's going toward Crab Creek Road. It's going opposite direction, Mr. Rutherford. So that's not going to help him.
He's holding up 2 fingers. It's about 2 miles away.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just going to have to do a field review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one more that was emailed in to us. If you'd like me to read what she emailed in, and then a couple of comments that came in was, I know Edmonds Road had slurry put on it, and with the fog out there, there was a concerned citizen that with all the heavy traffic from the quarry and from Bottomley's Farms, that how they felt it should be taken into note to put the lines back as soon as possible. And then the other one was when 89, another citizen wanted to know when 89 would be repaid. And they said, please don't let the company that done it the last time do it this time. Because every driveway you go by, it humps up.
So I'll check the schedule.
And then I have this one email that came in on Little Fox Creek Road. Would you like me to read what she had, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that'd be good.
Okay. Fox Creek crosses Little Fox Creek Road 3 times in a short distance. The road constantly floods and washes out during heavy rains. The upper creek crosses near Bridle Creek Road. The first creek crossing has been fixed, but still floods over the road in heavy rains. Water washes out the second creek crossing multiple times, and the last time it took the entire road and pipes out, making the road impassable. 2 new pipes were put in and the road was halfway fixed. The third crossing is at the lower end of the road. 2 old pipes remain and have not been replaced, even though the road has been washed out completely, making it impassable multiple times. The crossing should have been fixed the first time due to being the lower end of the creek. It takes on a lot more water with the same size pipes as the upper end of the creek. The culverts that have been fixed are still flooding over the road in heavy rains. 21 houses are on this short stretch of Little Fox Creek Road. 14 are full-time residents. Little Fox Creek Road is a heavily traveled road. Many people use Little Fox Creek Road to get from Bridle Creek Road to Fox Creek Road. Proposed solutions: elevate the rock beds at the pipe crossing and install larger pipes to handle the amount of water. Hard surface the road and stabilize with grass the shoulders of the road where the pipes cross the road. If these are done when it does flood, the water crossing the road, the hard surface and the stabilization of the shoulders of the road will allow the water to flow over and not wash the road completely out. If these things are corrected, it would save the county money on constant maintenance and costly repairs when the road floods. Thank you for your consideration in making lasting improvements to Little Fox Creek Road. And that was Amy Hatley. And I guess we keep this for the record.
And could you forward that email to me as well? Documentation?
Yeah, Ms. Osborne can forward that to you.
And I will say to that, that's been typical across our whole entire area, West Bland and Grayson County. And what's been happening is we continually, these roads that are laid out just like Little Fox Creek Road, they have a creek that winds in and out throughout the entire route. What our crews have been having to do is basically just coming back in and just repairing back to get the road passable and then on to the next one, because we have widespread issues with these same type roads. So they're trying to get all the roads passable first. And then once we do, it seems this year that the very next week they're blown out again. Mm-hmm. And then we get them passable again. And then before we can get back to actually do permanent repairs, we've been hit with another flood. And so this year, the only thing we've been able to do is just continuously battle keeping the roads passable. Mm-hmm. So once this relentless rain and these heavy flooding events finally slow down, then we can get back to doing permanent repairs. Yes. So that sounds like a big excuse, but that's exactly what we're doing. And I did look on the list here, and Little Fox Creek Road does barely make the criteria at 50 vehicles per day. So if that's one the board wants to look at in the future for a little rustic building, we can look at that.
That's it, Mr. Chairman. That was all the concerns and emails and public speakers signed up.
Okay, good deal. We need some kind of a motion on this, or we just good for the public hearing?
Is that?
Yes.
You don't have anything else?
No, the only thing I was going to, if we want to still keep the discussion open for that additional 0.3 miles, or do we want to just go ahead and review Cornerstone? Because if we do a motion tonight and go ahead and include Cornerstone, I mean, I'm fine with that. But I don't know if you want to review it first to make sure that it does make the best sense or the best option for the county as far as doing a 30-mile section.
And Mr. Chairman, this span, after we come out of the public hearing, would it be possible to table the vote on the 6-year plan until the July meeting so that we can get the feedback on the 0.3 of Cornerstone?
Oh, that should be fine.
Yeah.
I'm able what you talked about at least getting it started. And then next year, we should have more money to put right back in on it to extend it.
Andy's shaking his head here, so
Yeah, we do, actually this year, due to the pandemic, we're getting forgiveness on deadline. So I can go ahead and review that cornerstone and get the information back to you guys pretty quickly. And if we go over the June 30th deadline on the resolution, we're still okay this year.
So we can put the July 9th, we can put the resolution on that meeting.
that's great.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Are you gonna make that a motion, Mr. Pant, that we table it till?
Well, I thought I would once we come out of the public hearing, right? Don't we do that first and then we do the?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm with adding the 3 tenths. I don't want to talk to you. I'm trying to
No. Sure, but I think they just want to make sure that it fits into the category.
Okay, does that always have the public hearing on the 6-year plan?
This is Mr. Hash. I have one question concerning maintenance, and that doesn't have to do with the 6-year plan. And Mr. Fowler could, I think I had Mitch to forward him an email concerning Brush Creek and what the maintenance schedule is for that road. And but he can address that in an email later on, or if he knows offhand.
Yeah, what I normally do, as soon as I get these email requests from Mitch or from Linda, I forward those to my area headquarters.
That's what you told me you had done.
Yeah, and they review the routes and then they get back to me, whether they fixed them or what their plan is or what their schedule is. I haven't heard back on Brush Creek yet, but as soon as I do, I'll send the email back to Mitch.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if that's everything on the 6-year plan, any other comments? I'll look for motion to come out of public hearing on the 6-year plan.
So moved. Second, Pant.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, we're out of public hearing on the 6-year plan. I'll look for a motion to end the public hearing on a proposed ordinance to increase courthouse security fees.
So moved.
Here's a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
So we're in the public hearing, and Ms. Fowler, I really appreciate your work. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I know I've had to call on you a few times, and you've always been there. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, who's going to take on this courthouse security fee?
Do we have any speakers for it?
No.
No speakers?
No.
We don't have any speakers, Mr. Chairman. We have an ordinance that we need to see if the board would be willing to pass, and I'd be glad to read that if that's okay with you.
That is fine.
Okay. Ordinance of the County of Grayson, Virginia, amending the courthouse security fee pursuant to amendments to 53.1-120 of the Code of Virginia. Whereas by ordinance duly adopted, the County of Grayson authorizes a fee of $10 assessable in each criminal and traffic case heard in the circuit and district courts of Grayson County in which the defendant is convicted to be used for purposes of providing security within the Grayson County Courthouse as provided in Section 53.1-120 of the Code of Virginia. And whereas effective July the 1st, 2020, the Commonwealth of Virginia has permitted such security fees to be increased to $20, whereas the Board of Supervisors of Grayson County, known as the Board, is mindful of the need to maintain appropriate security for the safety of citizens of the county and the officers and employees of the courts, and is further mindful of the increasing cost of personnel and equipment over time, and has determined that the fee should be increased in accordance with state law. Therefore, be it hereby ordained, after public hearing duly advertised and conducted, the courthouse security fee be and hereby is increased to $20 to be levied and collected in each criminal and traffic case heard in the circuit and district courts of Grayson County in which the defendant is convicted. The courthouse security fee assessed herein shall be collected by the clerk of the court in which the case is heard, remitted to the treasurer of Grayson County, and held by the treasurer pending appropriation by the board to the sheriff's office. All appropriations by the board to the sheriff's office shall be expended solely for purposes of funding courthouse security personnel, equipment, and other personal property used in connection with courthouse security as permitted and directed by Virginia Code Section 53.1-120. This ordinance shall be effective as to any conviction entered by the district and circuit courts of Grayson County on or after July 1st, 2020. This ordinance was duly adopted this 25th day of June, 2020. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have that. Any discussion, questions? And no one is there to speak for it, so hearing none, I look for motion to go out of public hearing on.
So moved. Mr. Trash.
Here's a second. Second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Okay, so, and I myself, aye, so we're out of public hearing on the courthouse security fee. I guess we need a motion to pass this ordinance.
Yes.
This is France. So moved.
Mr.
Hash, second.
Mr. Fant made the motion. Mr. Hash, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. And aye.
Does this not need to be a roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Keep me straight. Roll call vote, Mr. Rebels.
Aye.
Mr. Hash.
Aye.
Fant.
Aye.
Ms. Sutherland.
Aye.
And I also aye. So.
Thank you.
Ordinance passed.
And Mr. Chairman, do we need a motion to table the 6-year plan to 9 July, or we just moving it to them without?
I thought we did that.
No, we were waiting to come out of public hearing to do that.
To table it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, do we need a motion to table it?
Yes.
I'll make that motion. Fant.
Rebel second. Okay, I heard Mr. Fant made the motion. Mr. Rebel second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. And aye. So we'll table that to our next meeting. July, what's the date?
July 9th.
Okay. All right. Long meeting tonight. Apologize for that. Anything else for the good of the county?
We are fine. We appreciate all of your support.
Okay. I appreciate everybody patience tonight getting through a long meeting. Hope everybody stays safe, wear your mask, stay 6 feet. And I guess our next meeting we're going to be in person, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I can't wait to see y'all's faces. All right. Everybody have a good night, and I look for motion to adjourn.
So move past.
Okay, I heard the motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you very much. Stay safe. We appreciate it.
Hey, Bill, check with John Pant.
Yeah.